All right, let's talk about the World Cup because it is just literal days away. We're about 2 weeks out from the start of the 2023 World Cup. It will kick off on July 20th in Australia and New Zealand. The co hosts will face off on that day. We've got New Zealand going up against Norway, we've got Australia going up against Ireland. What a time, and it's almost here. So we thought, you know what, let's have some fun. Let's maybe chat about some dark horses. Who are some teams that we think are going to shake things up in this 2023 World Cup? I think folks can maybe take a look and say, hey, this team, that team, those are going to be the contenders. And you know what? I would argue that any of the top 10 ranked FIFA ranked teams
Yeah.
are a contender for this World Cup. Yes, the United States women's national team are reigning World Cup champions. Yes, England are the reigning Euro champions. All of those things are true. But another thing that's true is that any of these top 10 FIFA ranked teams, when they go up against each other, they can get the better of the other on any given day. So that is why I think any of them can really be considered a contender in this World Cup buildup. If you're interested in the official rankings, I got you covered. You can go to cbssports.com. Not only do I have the FIFA rankings for you, but I did a remix and I actually did a power ranking of the top 10.
Oh,
So I bumped some teams a little higher and I bumped some teams a little lower as well, in my opinion. So go check that out if you've got the time. But for the dark horses, the teams that we think that maybe might be a little underrated or might surprise some folks along the way, who are you looking at and why, Lisa?
yeah. One of my biggest dark horses is the Republic of Ireland. And they're a dark horse because they're debutantes. They've never been to a World Cup, but they're pretty good, right? They're 22 in the FIFA ranking, so definitely not top 10. Definitely a nation that maybe some other nations are sleeping on. They're in the group of death, and that's probably going to be the hardest thing for the Republic of Ireland. They got dealt a pretty crappy hand heading into this World Cup. When you look at their Group B that they're in, it is the Republic of Ireland against Canada, Olympic gold medalist, Nigeria, and then Australia, the host nation for this World Cup. For sure, my group of death when I look at the groups across the stage here. But when you really dive into Ireland and what they have and the players they have going for them, you can't help but reflect, especially here at Attacking Third, on the two matches that Ireland played against the United States in April. And those were really narrow scorelines. It was a 1-0 scoreline and a 2-0 scoreline. And what the United States saw from Ireland was a team that was ready to play, also a team that hadn't had a lot of time together. And the fact that an Irish side could come in not having played a lot of matches together as a group and as that core that they were, not a lot of trainings together, and hold the U.S. to under 3 goals in 2 games is pretty impressive. They're a gritty team. They're very physical. They're really aggressive in what they're able to do. They're going to need that for their group stage completely, especially because they open up group play against Australia on the opening day ceremonies. Like, that is so tough. But I'm trying to balance in my mind, like, Ireland being debutantes of this World Cup and all the firepower that they have coming into this, with Australia being the host nation and opening it. Like, this is my number one game to watch on opening day. And I think that Ireland could shock the world and come out with some really good play. They've also played a lot of good nations in international competition: Scotland, Finland, China, Philippines, Zambia. They went on an incredible run in 2022, going unbeaten for most of those games. And they've got Katie McCabe from Arsenal in the front line. She led Arsenal to the Champions League semis. She's a massive player for this team, and I think that she can put a lot of the pressure on her shoulders and run with Ireland for this World Cup. I'm excited about the Irish. I am.
I'm getting chills listening to your case for the girls in green in this World Cup. And listen, I'm buying into it as well. Like, this is the fun part about the dark
I
horse.
know. I love this.
I think anyone can make a case for their dark horse team or their underdog team,
For sure.
and you can like get excited about it. And I like that you're going with Ireland because look, it's also I think it's also just such an unpredictable group as well that they're
Right.
part of. You know, it's like they're going up against the co-host in Australia for that first game. And that in itself is going to be a huge test, right? Because just the weight that Australia is going to have on their shoulders going into this World Cup as a co-host, as a team that has several players on the roster who have been playing together for years, and they really feel that this is their moment, that they can try to capitalize on that. But it's not just Australia that they have to, try to take a look at. They've got Canada waiting for them in this group. They've got Nigeria waiting for them in this group. And that's why I feel it's like this is really could
Yeah.
be an unpredictable type of group just because of some of the different factors that go in it as well. We talk about the different pressures of things within this group. Ireland as a debutante, if you mentioned, Australia as the host. We have Nigeria and Canada, unfortunately,
It's
still
it's the group of chaos.
it is. I mean, I don't know if it's a group of chaos, but I think there's a lot of unknowns. Those two teams, Canada and Nigeria, they're unfortunately still dealing with issues with their federation. And we're talking about into the buildup for this World Cup. So, how are they going to look? How prepared are they going to be for this World Cup as it's just weeks away? So, I feel you 100% on Ireland. I think that's a fun team to kind of rally around, but as well as being debutantes, I've got a debutante in my radar as well. I'm actually looking in Group E. I'm looking at Portugal as a dark horse in this World Cup. I'm very excited about this team. I think they had some thrillers in qualification and the build up to this moment. And they had to take a longer road and a longer journey to get here. They had to play in that interconfederation playoff to finally determine a place in this World Cup. And then they got drawn into Group E alongside the World Cup champions in the United States. But they're also going to go up against fellow debutantes in Vietnam, and they're also going to go up against the Netherlands, a team that I think they might surprise along the way. And I'm looking at this team because their very last game in the group will be against the United States. So they will have already had games against Vietnam and the Netherlands. So I think if they can get results out of those two games, that final game against the United States could be a little bit tense. But I'm very eager and excited to see it, especially considering the opposition that they have also just faced. You mentioned Ireland going up against some steep competition. They just held the Lionesses to a 0-0 draw.
Massive. That was just a couple days ago, right? Early first day of July, July 1st, and massive 0-0 draw for Portugal. To come out and pick up those points. I love this shout for Portugal. It's something about the debutantes this year. With 32 teams in the World Cup, there's a lot of debutantes coming in. There's a lot of upsets that can happen. I like this. I like that you're giving a shout to Portugal. Yeah, they're in pretty good form right now heading into this World Cup. They've got their blinders on and they're ready to grind through Group B.
I think it's going to benefit them that they have to not worry about the United States until the final part of the group stage, because maybe you muster up and have all of your energy for those first two group stages, and maybe you just try to play a good, strong, competitive match against the reigning champions. So they have a number of ways I think that they can navigate this group. I'm very excited to see it.
And speaking of Group E with the United States, the Netherlands, Portugal, as you just talked about as being your dark horse, Vietnam, they just played in a friendly at the end of June, and they got a goal in on Germany. It's pretty impressive to see from another debutante in the World Cup. It was a 2-1 final in favor of Germany against Vietnam. They'll also play against New Zealand coming up next week, which is interesting. Now is like the time, everyone. If you haven't been tuning in to the international friendlies and the schedule across the world game right now, start watching the games. Of course, the United States plays in their send-off series against Wales. That's happening on Sunday. We'll have it all covered here for you on Attacking Third. But any other nation that you're interested in, I mean, go check it out. I would rewatch that Portugal-English game. That was a really good match. Vietnam, New Zealand, I'm excited for that one coming up on July 10th. I think there's just a lot of good matches out there happening right now, and you can get a glimpse, a little firsthand look at some of these nations with their World Cup squad as they prepare to head over to Australia.
The send-off games, I think, are just like a lot of fun. Like they're their final glimpse, right? At teams before they head off. I know we're going to be covering United States against Wales, but just these ones that you just mentioned, the ones that have already taken place, and then on top of that, the ones that are still going to come up. It's going to be that final look, that final glimpse. Those games that you kind of tighten up things on the pitch, and we'll see. Maybe you want to tighten things up, but you also don't want to show too much, right?
I
When we
know.
record these games, so we're excited to take a look at them and cover them.
I mean,
moving forward.
we'll dive into that for the United States because they play on Sunday, so we'll preview that match for everyone. But I've already been thinking about my projected lineup for the United States.
I
Are
love
they
it.
going to go out with their A team? Are they not? What's going to happen? You don't show all your cards. You can't show all your cards because every single nation in the World Cup is going to be watching your final match before you went to the World Cup as preparation, right? That's where they're going to start because at least that's the squad and those are the players you're going forward with throughout the rounds and all the different matches throughout the World Cup. So that's what nations are going to key in on. So you can't show all your cards at that point. You have to keep some secrets a little bit hidden, at least some of your trick plays, your set pieces, those types of things. You hope for no penalty kicks, right? You don't want to be giving away anything. It is the most wonderful time of the year right now. Welcome to World
to
Cup.
be here with you through it all, Lisa. It's just getting started. It's just getting started. Let's just be real. It's just getting started because it's just days away. Got a couple weeks till the 2023 World Cup. And of course, we'll have lots more content for you all along the way.